Hi, I'm Jeff Sanford. We're here at the Canadian Business Manufacturer Outlook for 2008. I'm talking to Jay Myers, the president of the Canadian Manufacturers and Exporters Association. Jay, these are tough times. We just heard you talk upstairs and there wasn't much good news there. Can you talk to me about some of the challenges facing manufacturers, and I think obviously the dollar, but there's a couple factors here, and let's go over those.
Well, it is tough times for manufacturers in Canada. For 5 years, we've seen the value of the Canadian dollar go up, but it's a bit of a perfect storm. We've got the dollar going up, which is hitting exporters. We've got 50% of what's manufactured is sold through the U.S. Much of that's priced in U.S. dollars. So appreciation of the dollar is like a price cut in your export sales. It hammers down your sales revenue. It hammers down your bottom line. But there are other factors here too. You've got one of the reasons the dollar has been so strong is because of global demand for our commodities and for our energy. And manufacturers, big consumer of raw materials and energy, so costs are going up as well. And that combination of a high dollar pounding down prices and higher costs has really put a tremendous squeeze on profit margin and on cash flow. So those are two components. Now we're seeing a third one pick in, and if that's the perfect storm, I don't know, this is maybe a tidal wave. What we're seeing right now is the slowdown in the U.S. economy. If you look at particular markets, housing, automotive, consumer products, these markets are already in recession. They're our biggest export markets in the United States. So what we're seeing right now is a kind of a third element that's making a lot of the adjustments to a higher dollar and higher cost structure much more difficult because customers aren't buying as much product. And so as a result of that, we're going into 2008 with an outlook for very, very weak demand in the United States. And also, I think the risk is on the upside for the Canadian dollar. We'll see the Canadian dollar go up in value again this year too. So it's going to be more of the same in terms of some of the pressures facing manufacturers. But the big concern that we have is the slowdown in the U.S. economy, and that's now forcing some companies to close entirely in Canada, and that's bad news.
Sure. I think you put a timeline on it. You said certainly this year, but the recession could go into next year. Is it going to be worse than Canadians think?
I think the recession in the U.S. is going to be very bad. Here it's a combination right now of rising inflation and as well as a downturn in consumer spending. And that combination of factors is probably going to push the U.S. into recession, I think, beginning this year and then into next year as well. So it's going to be, I think, much worse than a lot of people are saying. And the very worst thing you could try to do under these circumstances is to try to prime the pump in terms of sort of investing more in the economy and borrowing from the rest of the world. That's the problem here, that the rest of the world doesn't want to invest in the United States, and that's what's driving down the U.S. dollar. So it's a concern, and particularly for those suppliers of the U.S. economy, this is not a good time.
Sure.
But the opportunity is to look for other markets.
Sure. And well, let's talk about that then. We've got this short-term pain here, but how can we turn that into a longer-term opportunity? Sorry, one of the things that's really interesting you mentioned, manufacturers are right up against the wall. You compared, the costs of manufacturers, and if you kind of put those into an 8-hour shift, it takes you 7 hours and 54 minutes to cover all your costs. You only got 6 minutes to make money.
Yeah, that's right. You got 6 minutes to make money.
It's
And
really
that just puts this cash flow issue really into perspective. But the primary issue today for most companies is how do you save money? How do you cut costs? How do you improve efficiency? And often, to talk about technology, but often companies look for a technical solution where it's a issue of if you did the process better, you could save money, and maybe that's the problem. It's not you don't need the new technology, but number one issue: save money, generate cash, and then the longer term issue is where do you invest in the new product innovation, the new production facilities, the new market development that you need in order to grow in the long term. And clearly that's not going to be as much in the United States, but if it is, or globally, the only way Canadian manufacturers are going to survive is if they become very specialized, very innovative, more customized, surround that by services that their customers want to buy. And that's really where the future is here. And in that adjustment, There are going to be a lot of opportunities for smaller manufacturers in niche areas and here. But the problem is for everybody, or the issue is for everybody. Don't think of your business as getting product out the door. Think of your business as a solution for your customers. Sure. And you've got a manufacturing capability, capability of producing a product, and you've got a whole supply chain of services that you can call on to help you do that. But now there are a lot of problems out there that anybody can offer a solution to, and I think that's where the business opportunity is.
So who in your mind is doing well? Who's doing that? Who's taking that higher road, becoming this more niche targeted player?
Well, even in this situation where overall manufacturing is going through some rough times, we have some very, very strong competitive players out there that are continuing to expand their business. Linamar is one. In a very rough automotive sector, Linamar continues to do well because they're innovative, because they put a lot of money into new products, new markets, and upgrading the skills of the workforce. Good recipe for success. But other companies they tend to be diversified in terms of their markets, so they're not as dependent on the U.S. If they are dependent on the U.S., then there is some sort of a natural hedge here that they're perhaps selling into a larger customer that can take on exchange rate risk or whatever. But they tend to be specialized and customized, and they tend to focus on service, and they may be outsourcing more production, but they've kept the heart of the manufacturer, the value-added manufacturing here in Canada, and they're in control of their IP. So, if you can do that, and you're specialized, you're customized, you can do business anywhere. But again, it's focusing on the new opportunities that are there and focusing on growing your business in new markets through new products and new solutions.
That's great. Thank you very much, Jayson.
Okay, thanks very much.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.
This is Jeff Sanford. We're here at the Canadian Business Manufacturers Outlook 2008, and we've been talking to Jayson Myers.